Welcome to the only place where real, raw, and vulnerable conversations happen with IFBB bikini pros to give you an inside look at their struggles, strategies, mindset, passions, and all of life beyond the stage. This podcast is made to inspire, motivate, and remind competitors and the average gym goer that even the most extreme lifestyles and elite athletes have their ups and downs. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm your host, Celeste Rains-Turk, and now it's time for the Confessions of a Bikini Pro podcast. Thank you all so much for tuning in to the Confessions of a Bikini Pro podcast. Today we're going to be hanging out with Team Cosmic Bodies coach, 2017 NPC Nationals Overall Champ, and posing coach, Lauren Dannenmiller. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on today.
Yeah, of course. I'm so glad that you could be here and come on so soon. And it's just really awesome. And everybody knows that when I start this podcast, I always got to know, what is one thing that you think of or a ritual that you have right before you step on stage?
Yeah, so I've competed 7 times, and in the beginning of my career competing, I was still an amateur, and when you're an amateur, you kind of have those thoughts like, am I ready? And you kind of get overwhelmed a little bit on show day, and you get really, really nervous. And I even had those thoughts, like even in 2017, too. But, towards the end, especially at NPC Nationals, I kind of just had this like calmness kind of just like take over my body. And like the night before, and I was like in bed, the night before show day, I was just, visualizing me on stage, getting up on there and just nailing my routine down and just like having that confidence. And I even did that, that second before I got up on that stage, when you're all in the line, you're waiting to get up there and how it's going to go down. So, I just like close my eyes, I take a deep breath, and I visualize myself just crushing it up there and doing well with my routine and doing my transitions right and just feeling really calm up there. So I feel like that helped me a lot at NPC Nationals because the judges can like see you up there and they can kind of read how you are feeling like weirdly. So, for my pro shows coming up, I'm going to do that same thing because, visualization is huge. And when you visualize it, it's like, oh my gosh, I've already done it before, like so when I like get up on the stage, it's like, oh, I've already done this before. I visualize myself so many times doing it that it just feels like so natural because I've done it before, so I'm definitely going to do that. For all my pro shows.
Yeah, it works, right? And it's so powerful, like the just visualization in general, like no matter what it is that you're trying to create in your life or become better at, like the brain doesn't know the difference. So if it doesn't know if you're actually on stage or not, like with as powerful a visualization as you can have, especially when you get to know the judges' faces or you get to know the feel of the carpet on the stage, hopefully there is, or like you get to know like what it feels like to have the lights, not be able to see the crowd or see some people. Like when you really know the atmosphere, like the visualization becomes so much more powerful. And like in practice, in like leading up to the show, like you can literally see those faces, the facial expressions, because you really get to know them when you're developing that relationship.
And just like visualizing the details too, when you're up on the stage, it's like how your suit feels on you and how, you got that tan on and like just everything, your hair on your body, just all those little things, the heatness of the lights, like you just got to visualize yourself having those details. So, that helped a lot. It really did.
I love it. And when you won your pro card at Nationals last year and, pretty much all your shows, you've always been very calm and cool, collected. Obviously in the beginning, it's a little different, but I know you've been pretty calm and collected that day to really keep stress out of the body because obviously that can really change your package. So, what are some ways that you recommend competitors de-stress or prepare ahead of time, aside from visualization, for
Yeah.
show day so that they can just chill and enjoy
Yep.
the moments?
Yep. So, I made a lot of mistakes competing at the national level a lot. I was backstage on my feet, practicing my routine over and over and over again. And I was just so antsy back there talking to people and like, so you gotta just keep, and this is what I did at NPC Nationals. Like I was backstage, I found a spot to chill at, and I wasn't going over my posing routine and stuff like that because I already knew my routine. I practiced it so many times. So I just
Mhm.
found a little spot. I chilled back there and I just, had some me time, just calm. And then when they finally said, hey, class, what class was I? Class F, it's time to line up. So, I lined up. I did my little pump session, just really calm. And I ran through my routine one time, and that's it. Like, it's just knowing that, hey, I am ready. There's nothing else I can do right now to make my physique
Yeah.
look better. You got to stay calm back there because if you're all stressed out, it's going to show on your body and your body's going to look stressed. And you might hold on to water or you might lose some lines in your hamstrings or whatever because you just were walking around being all stressed. So just
Yeah.
really just enjoying the moment of being there because show day goes by so fast. And it's just really like taking it all in and being calm. And people that like saw me backstage at NPC Nationals, like they said, Lauren, you were so calm back there. And I was trying to like make others calm. I'm like, let's just all chill out. Everyone wants to take pictures and everyone wants to, I don't know. So, yeah, I just really try to stay as calm as possible. Yes.
Yeah, that's really amazing. And I think that there's like a very big difference just in the way that you feel like lining up and on like to go on stage when you've been like going crazy backstage versus when you've just been in your own zone and element. Like I can
Yeah.
remember clear distinctions between those two feelings going on stage depending on how I was experiencing backstage or even the day before. I remember one time before a show, I just was like, so many people just kept asking me all these questions and I was super busy with like other stuff with like work and all this and I was like, oh my gosh, I can feel myself getting stressed. And especially when you're in like the end of peak week, you're really just like getting excited for the show. The last thing you want is to be like stressed out thinking about things going wrong or whatever. So
Yeah.
I found that it is definitely very helpful to get into your own zone, get in your own element and let the rest go because it like you said, you
Yeah.
can't change anything. You've got done everything you can. You're already here. You've arrived. Now like make the most of it. So
Yeah, and you want to like save all of that energy for the stage. So like if you're
yeah.
backstage just crazy, you're talking to a bunch of people, you're running around or whatever, that's why you got to stay calm back there because you want all of that energy to just like show on stage. So if you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes.
yeah.
Absolutely. You don't want to be like about to go on stage feeling like empty. You want to
Yeah.
give it
Yeah.
everything. So you have a lot of different strategies that I want to dive in with you because you've taken pretty much like a road less traveled, I guess you could say, in all your time competing, including longer off seasons and longer preps. So we will talk about those things. And first of all, I just want to know, like, after winning the overall at nationals last year, you were working with a coach. What made you and your boyfriend and co-coach at Team Cosmic Bodies, Kyle, decide that taking a year off would be beneficial for you, as well as doing a prep with him? Like, walk us through some of those decisions and how that came about.
Yeah. So all of 2017, I was dieting. I was, going after that pro card, doing all of the national shows.
Mhm.
And when it ended, when I finally got that pro card at NPC Nationals, I emptied my tank. So I was just so done. Like I did it and like I was just so ready to take the time off because I just went all in and I was tired, at the end. And so it was kind of, I was getting pressured though by just promoters and judges and stuff saying, when are you going to compete? Like, are you going to compete in 2018? What's your next show going to be? Are you doing the New York Pro? Like, what are you doing? And I was just like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like, I need to take some time off. So there's a lot of pressure, like getting your pro card, and then people want to get into the pros right away. But I knew that I needed to take some time off, after, talking to Kyle, he was just saying like, hey, those pros, they got size on them, they got that muscle density, they got that dense look up on the stage. And my body was just, I was worn out. And
Mhm.
if I wanted to continue in this sport and obviously have longevity in it, I knew that I needed to take a year off to make some big improvements to my physique and just get my calories back up, get my willpower back up. And yeah, so I just knew I needed to take that time off. So when I step on the stage at my pro debut, I want to look completely different. I don't want to look like how I did at NPC Nationals. I don't. I want to look revived. I want to look stronger. I want to look more muscular up there, especially in my upper body, which that's what we've been working on this whole year is my shoulders and the upper body. And that's what my feedback was as well. Like, you need more shoulders. And I knew that. So, yeah, that is why I took the year off. And I think I have definitely made improvement. So I'm really excited to, step on stage again and see it. And also, like, I am just so ready to diet. Like, I've been in prep
Yeah.
for 3 weeks now, and I'm just like, still like, hell yeah, like this is happening, So you want to make sure that your willpower is there to want to go in and diet, which, that whole year off, I was definitely, ready to do that. And then what was the second question again? I forgot.
Um,
Kyle?
when did you decide you answered it, which was basically like how actually part of that question was like you switched from having a coach to then deciding like you wanted to work with Kyle.
Oh, okay. So Kyle has literally been here for me since I started in like 2014. We've been dating for like 7 years now, and
Wow.
he always has wanted to coach me because we always have like our dream was to be coaches and help people hit the stage and hit the bikini stage and everything like that. But when I was younger, I was like, hey, we got to learn first. We got to hire some coaches and like get some experience and learn from these coaches and stuff. So Kyle brought me into the sport. He showed me how to lift. He helped me with my training. He's been helping me with my training throughout 2014. Training just what I'm doing in the gym. And so yeah, I've obviously, hired coaches in the past. And then, after NPC Nationals, I was like, you know what, Kyle, I think you are, ready to take over. I think we are ready to do this together. I've been doing this for many years now, and I think we're both ready. And I just trust him. We've been doing this together since 2014, and he really knows my body. And he's actually the one that told me to take 2 years off before I actually won my pro card. So
Wow.
taking all of 2016 and all of 2017 off, because he was actually the one to tell me, like, sat me down and said, you need to take 2 years off if you want to get that pro card. So
Dang.
he was actually the one that made that decision for me. And I'm like, okay.
Two
Um,
years, that would have me going nuts.
yeah, yep. And then, so yeah, I think we are both ready. I think I trust him. I really do. I see what he does with our athletes, and we work really well together. And yeah, so I'm really excited.
That is awesome. That is really cool. And um a lot of people would actually say like it isn't necessary for a bikini girl to have such a long off season. But there are girls who do it. You're an example of someone who does. You're also an example of someone who took, like you just said, 2 years off and then came
Yeah.
in and did a lot of national shows, a lot of dieting through 2017, but ultimately got what you came for. So what would your response be to someone who says it's not necessary?
Well, it's you got to think about your longevity in this. Like your longevity in the sport. And I think like competing just show after show, year after year, season after season, and not taking some time off, like you're gonna get burnt out and you're not gonna, want to do this for like the long haul. Like I'm planning on competing till I'm 40. Like I want to do this for like a really long time. And there is no rush in this either. Like, so people are so in a rush to, do their first show, get nationally qualified, do their national show, become a pro. Like, that does not happen in a year or 2 years. Sometimes it does for people, but it's like, it's this the journey. And that's what I love about this is just the process and journey. And I have always just set this standard for myself of taking time off, and I did my first show in 2015, and I knew I want to become a pro one day. And I'm like, what do I need to do? Oh, I need to take time off to actually put on this muscle. So when I come back on that NPC stage, I will dominate. So taking those 2 years off and really building my glutes and with my and just not being in a deficit. I feel like women are just always in a deficit, and it's just not good on your hormones, in the long term. So I have always set this standard for myself. So I will like literally always take time off. And believe me, it is hard. It is like, that's my confession that what I wanted to say on this is that, oh my gosh, it's hard. And it's hard to be patient. Like, it is so difficult to be patient. Like during those 2 years, like my Instagram didn't go up. Like, heck no. No one wants to follow somebody that's just I'm just in my off season, same posts all the time, same training, she's just doing deadlifts again. Like my training like isn't exciting. I'm not doing all this crazy plyo, crazy new movements all the time. Like, no, I
Yeah.
stick with the basics. And yeah, like it didn't help my business. Like when I'm competing, it helps my business. Like people get to know who I am. They like following me. They like seeing me lean. It's exciting, like prepping for a show. So yeah, taking time off. Yeah, not a lot of action happens. It's very slow business. I feel like people kind of forget about me. Either judges forget about me or just like people in general. So
Yeah.
that's my confession. It is hard. It really is.
Thank you for sharing that. I was thinking about that when I was going through, because I started following you after you won your pro card. I think it was after that. I don't know.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
remember thinking, like, wow, this is the first person I've seen who like puts it out there that they're doing things different. They're taking longer off seasons and they're you didn't seem like afraid to because it seems like you're very strong in your belief like that is what you need and you know your body, and it's obviously served you well to do that. That's a commitment you've made to yourself. But you did just touch on something that I think a lot of people go through when it comes to taking any amount of time off. I even remember I took like a 11-week off season last year and I was
Hmm.
like, oh my gosh, like the judges are gonna forget me. I have to keep my momentum up. Like this sucks. And then like my last show, after that show, I had done 5 shows last year. So I was like, continue, continue, continue. But I took like out of the 52 weeks I was competing, or actually 55 weeks I was competing, or whatever it is,
Wow.
I had only had like 24 weeks off season. And
Yeah.
that was between different preps. And I remember at the very end, the judge, like at my last show, he's like, you brought a way tighter package this show than you've brought. And I was like, I didn't even know. Like, I know he knows me. He recognizes me coming to all these athlete meetings, but it makes a difference. And then it kind of eliminates that stress of they're going to forget me. But then the off season creeps in and maybe you have those thoughts. So when you get those feelings, how do you personally address them when it comes to losing that momentum or the judge's attention or being forgotten, etc.?
Honestly, they are really actually not going to forget you because I took this year off and I'm like, oh, they probably forgot who I am. I'm coming back to NPC Nationals this year, like in what 2018. And I wanted to go back, I wanted to see the judges. I wanted to, just go back there again. And I went up to Sandy, the head judge of, all
Yeah.
the national shows and stuff like that. So I went up to her and she was actually talking to somebody else, and she ended up like, I just like walked in like in their conversation, and Sandy like put her hand on my shoulder and said, Lauren Dannenmiller, she took a full, it's like she knew my story. She took a full 2 years off before she got her pro card, and now she just took another year off. You got to take time off because it's going to help you with longevity in the sport. That's the time you're actually going to make those changes to your physique. And I was just standing there. I'm like, oh my gosh, she knows who I am. And then after that,
Respect.
she's like, of course I know who you are. And she like knew my whole journey of taking the time off. So she actually respects that a lot.
Exactly.
She does, because that's the point of bodybuilding. It's bodybuilding, right? We got to be in a building phase most of the time. It's not body cutting, it's not body lean or whatever I'm trying to say. That's why like we gotta like just everyone needs to kind of switch their mindset and just be like, it's really good to take this time off and actually make these changes within your physique. And, throughout my whole entire throughout the whole time of me taking that time off, every time when I got to the gym, I was just like, how bad do I want my shoulders to look in 2019 at my pro debut? Like, this matters. Like, the food that I'm eating right now, it matters. And me training right now in this gym session, which I'm really not motivated to get into right now because I have no show date and I'm not even prepping, me just thinking about this is what's going to make my physique actually improve. That's what got me motivated in the gym. So
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
I love that. I seriously think that's such a great story as well. And I want to add to that and say that I remember one time I was at this athletes meeting and one of the head judges, he was talking about, for the IFBB Pro League that is, he was talking about how like in their time, like at the beginning of bodybuilding, even towards the middle, right now, like not right now, but if you think a few years back, those people were training for 10 years before they even saw a pro card.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said earlier, some girls are getting them, some men are getting them like straight away in their first year of competing. Nothing wrong with that at all. Like there's still a level of competition and a level of discipline and dedication you have to put into to earn that. That's something that's earned, of course. But a lot of those judges came from a time, or they were part of a time where they got into the sport and the judging aspect when people were taking time off. People were respecting the, I don't want to say the word grind because it's like really a choice that like is super fulfilling, but like respecting the grind of like building and taking that time to like bring something better because you respect the sport, you respect what you see the judges are choosing. Like if you see the judges are starting to choose girls who are more dense, looking full but still have the cuts, whatever, then you're going to take the time to improve and they're going to see that you respect that and you respect the sport. And I think that is super awesome. And
yeah. And I just like, I have been surrounding myself like near natural bodybuilders like my whole life. Like my boyfriend, he's a natural bodybuilder. Like I am just friends with like a lot of bodybuilders that like, are natural and stuff. And like just their mission is just like, oh yeah, I take 5 years off in between shows. And I think like I just kind of like been like around that a lot, that I just thought it was like so, necessary.
yeah.
Especially if you are like a natural competitor, like a natural bikini athlete,
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, it's hard freaking work. It's hard work in the improvement season and it's hard work during prep. Like they're both equally hard. Getting to the gym and like lifting heavy in there, that's freaking hard work. It's
Yes.
hard to squat a lot and whatever and raising that weight. So, Yeah.
Yeah, you already have so much on your plate, right, in terms of wanting to improve, and then the improvement season comes and you really have to show up for it. Like it's like a prep, you've got a date in mind, you know what's going on. For an off season, it's like, okay, I just know I need to improve. So, how do you know when you've had a long enough off season or when you're ready to prep again? Because I'm sure people are listening going, okay, well, if you take so much time off, how do you know when you're ready to get back on it? And earlier you mentioned willpower to diet, but what else is there?
Yeah. So what I actually did, and I think it's important to do, I actually did a mini cut. So I did my competition and I took like 8 months off, and I was getting a little like fluffy and a little like bigger. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay. Something just said, I don't know. Okay. So sorry. I was getting a little like fluffier, and oops, sorry. Something just keeps popping up on my computer. All right.
Yeah, me
Good
too.
now.
We're good.
You know? Okay. Distracted. Okay. So yeah, I was yeah, getting a little fluffy or whatever, and I'm like, okay. I was like, 25's about above stage weight. And I was like, okay, what do I do? Like, did I make these changes yet? Like, I want to see what I'm working with right now. I want to see if I made these improvements. So we decided to do a little mini cut and clean things up real quick. I was in the mini cut for like 8 weeks. It's pretty aggressive. Like, you're in and you're out really quickly. So I did that for 8 weeks, and then I got down, like I lost 15 pounds, and I looked at my physique, and I looked at my physique at 130. I think I got down to 134. So I looked at my physique at 134 right now, and I looked at what my physique looked like in 2017 at 134, and I compared the two, and I was just like, wow, like I have made so much improvements. Like, I looked leaner now.
Yeah.
I looked leaner. My shoulders look bigger, my glutes look bigger, my lats, just like my upper body in general. So that's how you can kind of like see what you're working with. So I got down to that, and I'm like, okay, I am definitely making improvements. I think I can definitely compete in 2019 for sure. So then after the mini cut, I went straight back um, to, my maintenance calories. I, even put on more muscle after that, because after a mini cut, your body is just in a really good environment to put on muscle. Just like how after you do a competition, after you compete, it's kind of like a weird like anabolic time where you're eating
Yeah.
more and you're feeling so strong in the gym. You can just like put on muscle like that. So that's what I did after my mini cut. And yeah, so I think just really still taking those progress pictures, even though you don't want
Mhm.
to. It's important to still take your progress pictures during your improvement seasons, and just always like looking back like a year or 2 years, and like seeing like you at that same body weight, but hopefully looking completely different. Um, so, and I knew I didn't need to make major changes. Like, if you need to make some huge changes, I say, yeah, 2 years off for sure, to like have your glute development in, and having just that density in general. But for me, I know I just needed to take a year off just to grow my shoulders, because that was literally all the feedback I got was, you just need a little more shoulder. So I hope that happened during the year off. But yeah,
Absolutely. Like you said, you looked at your progress photos and you look different at this weight than you did last time at that weight. And I think that that's such a great way to go about it and really comparing like the composition. Like you've made some
yes,
significant changes and you'll know, like, you will absolutely 100% know when you step on stage that that time was worth it. Every single time you
yes,
stepped in that gym and thought about, okay, well, how much does this matter to me? Like, you're going to know, like, that was worth it. And implementing that mini cut allowed you to see a little bit into the future and reflecting on the
yeah,
past, which is a really cool thing. And some people, they don't do mini cuts because they don't take as long of an off season. Some people do probably too many mini cuts. So how do you know, especially like when you're coaching your girls,
yep.
how do you coach them or help them in their longer off seasons or longer preps to understand like when they need it, when they don't need it, if they want it, but you're like, you can't have it right now? Like, how do you do that as a coach?
Okay, so a mini cut is only used for people that have, that are experienced in this, that have dieted before, have like got on stage before too. I think it's a tool that people should use if they are experienced, in this sport and with cutting in general, because it is aggressive. But say not a good time to do a mini cut is, say it's post show, it's a month or 2 months post show, you have gained 20 pounds and you rebounded and you're sitting in, you're looking at yourself, you're like, oh my God, I need to lose some of this fat. That's when I would not do a mini cut, because it's just, you have only been you've only been in a surplus or whatever post show for only 2 months. Your body is not ready to go back to dieting again. I say if you are 2 months post show, you gain 20 pounds, I say just hold steady and just train really hard in the gym and just, like really like just work in the gym. And I think a good time to do a mini cut is like maybe 4 to maybe the closest is probably 4 months post show, or even 6, I would say, to do a mini cut. But a mini cut is, and when I use them for my girls, it's like you want to have a really good starting point for your competition prep. You don't want to go into your prep and be like, okay, I got 50 pounds to lose. That's going to be a really long prep, and you're going to have to be prepping for, I don't know, 50 weeks or something crazy. So what a mini cut is, it's like for competitors, it's like a prep before the actual prep happens. So you kind of do all of the hard work beforehand, instead of just, you just throughout your whole off season, you just keep gaining weight. It's like, oh my God, if I just kept gaining weight, I would have to lose probably 40 pounds, and that's not fun. So what a mini cut is, it's a prep before the prep. You're in this cut, it's aggressive, you're in it for 4 to maybe 8 weeks. You lose some of the unnecessary amount of body fat that we have, and then we get you in a really good place to actually start your prep. So what, you might only have to lose 20 pounds or something like that. For me, I only have to lose 15 pounds now, which, isn't that bad. And so it's just like a little prep before the prep. And then after the mini cut's over, we definitely have some time, if it's a month or even 2 months, even 3 months, like just in your improvement season again, which you don't have to gain all that unnecessary weight back. You actually can maintain your physique that you had after your mini cut was over, because it is just so quick that you actually don't have any adaptations. You don't have any like metabolic adaptations or whatever. You can actually, because it's so fast. So after the mini cut's over, you just can go right back into what you were eating before. And you actually, you gain probably 3, 5 at most pounds, but then it just gets you in a really good starting point for your prep.
Yes, I love it. So that's a lot of valuable information. I'm just like taking notes. So, um,
I'm sorry.
no, it's good. I'm like, I gotta put this in the show notes as well. So when you're doing your mini cut, you said it's aggressive. So I think people have different understandings of what that word might mean. Like when I think of an aggressive cut, like my mind goes to like those really intense times of prep when it was like cardio in the morning, sprints during the workout, and then cardio post workout with plyos. So like what would and the dieting obviously is probably what you're referring to as well. So how would you describe an aggressive cut for someone, especially when we're considering it for like mini cuts? I'm not talking about prep,
Yeah.
but like mini cut.
Yeah, for mini cuts. So I actually don't do any cardio. Maybe a little bit at the end, but I try to just take it all from the food. And because
Okay.
I don't want to just do cardio, because then that cardio is gonna start taking away from your training sessions, and then you're not gonna be training as hard in the gym. And with this mini cut, I still want my athletes training hard in the gym and keeping their strength up and like maintaining their strength. If we add cardio in there, then their gym sessions are going to start, lacking. They're going to start getting weaker in the gym. So I just try to take it all from food. I do have them just increase their steps. So if they're doing 6K a day, I make them do 8 to 10, maybe 12 at the end of the mini cut. So just walking, because that's, really nice on the body. But yeah, it is just straight calories. And yeah, I mean, whatever your super low days are during your contest prep, like I was eating 2,200 calories during my improvement season. I mean, some days it's probably, 2,300 or something, but I
Mhm.
dropped my calories straight to 1,500, like right off the bat. I
Wow.
just went straight in there, and I didn't really incorporate any refeeds in the beginning. So this is how aggressive it is. Like
That is very aggressive.
I did 10 low days. So I think I was eating, I don't know, I started off at 150 carbs. I dropped into 120, and I did 10 low days in a row. And then I did 3 refeeds after that, because your body starts holding on to water. And it's weird. Like after I did my refeeds, I would like drop 2 pounds. Like it was crazy. And like
Yeah.
the true fat loss would show. So it's just aggressive like that. Like during a normal prep, I don't drop my clients' calories that low all of a sudden. And I give them refeeds like right off the bat. Like you're getting a refeed on your 7th day, or you're getting 2 refeeds a week. But within a mini cut, it's like no refeeds in the beginning. Let's just see what we can do until you actually like really need it and you're dying. So,
Yeah. Oh,
and
that's
yeah.
cool. So you do that for 10 days. You do 10 low days and then you had 3 refeeds, or you do the whole mini cut and then you have refeeds.
No, I will. What I did and what, Kyle did for me is he just had me do, yeah, 10 low days right off the bat, like 10 low days. And then I was like, I am dying. I need food. And he's like, okay, you can have your refeeds now. And then I would do, my 3 refeeds, and I would just get right back to the low days. And yeah. So right off the bat, not after my mini cut, then I get the refeeds. That would suck. No, I definitely incorporate them like during the mini cut for sure. So yeah.
How long was your most recent mini cut?
So I got up to 146 pounds, which for me, that is the heaviest I've ever weighed. I was just like, oh my God, like I'm feeling like really uncomfortable, and I wanted to see my muscle. So I wanted to lose at least 12 to 15 pounds. So it actually took a while. Like it went on longer than I wanted it to be, which is okay. So
Hmm.
in the end, it ended up being like 8 to 9 weeks. And then I was just so done with it. But I ended up getting down to like 132 or something like that.
Nice.
After, I had some refeeds, and then my cortisol got better, and my stress got better, and I like lost some water weight with those refeeds. And then like my lowest weight was a 132. But yeah, it was like 8+ weeks. So it was kind of long. It's not like a mini cut anymore if it's like longer than like, I don't know, 10 weeks or something like that. Like that's too long.
You
That's
prepping.
actually, yeah, you're actually prepping. With my clients, usually we'll do it in 6 or something. But for me, I just wanted to keep going, because I was like, yay, I'm dieting again. But then we
Yeah.
then we had to stop. So I was like, okay, I got to get back to building.
Well, yeah, that cutting can get kind of addictive because everything's so structured that everything feels perfect in life, and then you forget like, oh wait, I have like this really big goal that I kind of need to hit right now,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
it's distracting me. So, okay, I want to ask you longer prep. So now we know like you're going into a longer prep. Some people shy away from a longer prep because they're like, I just did this long ass off season and I want to hop right
Yeah.
into prep. So like I can share like from personal experience, I know that like I really want to jump into a show, but I also know I need that time to build. So when I step on stage, like I'm unrecognizable almost. So what's your
Hmm.
reasoning for having longer preps? And if you don't and if you don't think like you're ready to push back, I guess you could say, like push, like if you don't think you're ready for the show, like pushing back on the date. Like what's your reasoning for all of this?
So it really just matters on the person's starting point. So usually, like sometimes I'll have someone come to me and they're pretty lean. Like I'm like, oh my God, you only have like 10 pounds to lose or something like that. So then with someone like that, like we don't have to do like a freaking 20+ week prep or something like that. Like heck no. But yeah, like usually people that do come to me, they have at least 20 pounds to lose or 20, plus pounds to lose. So even like myself, I only have like 15, but I'm still giving myself like a 20+ week prep just because I can have fun with my prep. It's not like I'm just running myself into the ground. I am super stressed out by having this show date in the back of my head that sometimes like I tell my clients, let's not have a show date. Let's not have a show date. Let's just cruise into this prep. Don't worry, you will be competing, okay? But let's just not have a show date because sometimes it just stresses my clients out and they're like, oh my God, I'm 10 weeks out. I'm not ready or whatever. Um, and if you do a longer contest prep, it is just less stress on you, first of all. And we can have like fun with your prep where, what I'm going to be doing and what I do with my clients is, we have days where we do diet breaks or for a week, you're actually out of the deficit and you go back to maintenance calories for an entire week. And then we can actually have fun with your prep and we can do refeeds. You might only be dieting 5 times out of the week and you get 2 refeeds. Or some of my athletes, I only have them dieting 4 times out of the week and they get 3 refeeds a week, which is awesome. So giving yourself enough time, you can have fun with your prep by doing it that way, which will keep your energy high. It will keep your hormones, especially as a woman, in a really good place. And it like keeps all of your muscle during your contest prep because those refeeds, it's going to help keep your muscle. So, when you get into the gym, you feel good. You just had 3 refeeds and, you're going to train hard. It helps just, your mindset and you're willing to like, dig more. Like after you do your refeeds, you're like, okay, I'm so ready to get back to dieting. It's mainly, and like things come up during life, things come up, one time a hurricane came through Florida and I had to hold me back a week. But you know what? I gave myself enough time to prep. So it was okay in the end. Something might come up during my contest prep. Well, it might hold me back a week or something like that. So it's just less stressful for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. And then you can even like reverse diet into your show. You can even like you're ready like 2 weeks or 3 weeks ahead of time. I mean, we can reverse diet you into the show where you're just going into the show feeling amazing. You don't have to like lose 5 pounds to get there. Like, no, you were ready and we fed you into the show and you just looked more full and revived. So that's why I do that.
That's awesome. You also mentioned diet breaks and you said like sometimes you'll give your athletes like a week long diet break depending on obviously like where their starting point is, what they need, etc. When do you usually decide to give someone a diet break?
Yeah, so I will do that sometimes when they're just stalling out and that their calories are pretty low and they are just stalling and they're not losing any weight and it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to add more cardio and I'm not going to drop your calories even more because that's not going to be fun. I'm going to do a diet break. So the diet break, it will take you out of the deficit and actually it will help. What it does, it helps you any like adaptations like you may have had during dieting. Your body adapts to the low calories. It just happens. Your body adapts to the low calories. And when you get really low in calories, like, yeah, your body will just adapt to it. So that's what the diet break is for. It's to take you out of the deficit. Yeah, you might gain a little bit of weight. Sometimes people don't even gain too much weight. But like my goal is actually to gain a little bit of weight. And then after, say we're in it for a full week, you get right back into dieting again, and then your body responds. It's like magic. It's crazy. Um, And so that's when I would do one. And then also I do it for people that just have a really long journey and they got to lose 50 pounds. And, usually every 10 pounds, I will do a diet break because sometimes it's just really hard to just keep dieting and dieting and dieting. Like, so that's why, like, usually with my bigger competitors, I will take them out of the deficit for a week after they lost 10 pounds. Like every 10 pounds, I will usually do one, and they're just so ready to keep going. Like they're just happy, they're happier.
Yes, that's really awesome. And as a coach, I'm sure then you see things in the competition world that maybe make you cringe or you wish like competitors knew before they worked with a coach. So let's talk about both those things. So do you ever see things in the competition world that makes you cringe?
Yeah, I do. I think a lot of coaches out there um, just don't really take good care of their athletes. And it's just they have so many athletes. They have like over 500. I don't even know, like crazy amounts of clients. And they just send them like these cookie cutter meal plan, training protocol, whatever. And it makes me sad because there's so much more to this than just like a meal plan and whatever. Um, like I like to teach my clients like why I am doing things. Like it's pretty much kind of like a class getting ready for a bikini competition. Like you learn so much along the way. And yeah, I just see some coaches, they don't care about their athletes. They just care about them competing and them doing the show. A lot of coaches don't even care about the clients like off season and what's going to make them successful in the sport and actually having a plan for them. Like with all of my clients, I make sure everybody has a plan like in place, whether it's, yeah, I'm open, we got to take some time off here. A lot of coaches just want clients on the stage and that is it, but it is like literally so much more than that. And there's just other stuff that goes on, like just the meal plans, and you've only ate asparagus and chicken your whole prep, and you drink no water 24 hours out before show, and I'm just like sitting there like, what the heck? So that stuff just makes me like like a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember like I was at this one show and we were all in line for tanning and this girl turns around, she's like, for the last 10 weeks, all I've eaten is fish and asparagus. And I was like,
Oh my
why?
god.
I was like, why? Like, what the heck? And I was like, it's like for an amateur show, like you switched to a new division, like you went from bikini to figure, and it was so confusing. And I was like, that can't be healthy. Um, Obviously there's extremes to the sport, but I think it's like there's somewhere it's just like that's a little too far, don't you think? So what do
Yeah.
you wish more competitors knew before working with a coach?
So sometimes girls, they just like jump into the sport. It's just like they take on the first coach that they hear of, like whether it's a coach in their gym or it's just their friend had a coach and she just jumped on it. So you really have to do like your research before hiring a coach. Because you're about to go on this huge journey together, and it's a big journey. I mean, we are getting you're about to hit the stage, it's a big journey. Like, yes, nutrition's important, obviously. Yes, what you're doing in the gym is really important, but like there's so much more. There's like the mindset that comes along with it. And what I like to teach my competitors is like how to have that pro mindset, because I was competing as an amateur and I didn't have that pro mindset. I was just like, oh, I'm just doing this, whatever. But I really make sure that, and I made a lot of mistakes, throughout the national level, that I make sure none of my clients make those mistakes that I made. So when you're going to hire a coach, what I'm trying to say is you should obviously reach out. How are they reaching? How are they responding to you? Are they emailing you? Are they sending you their package program or whatever? Or do they want to actually talk to you on the phone or something like that? That's what I do with all of my clients. I get on the phone with them. I want to make sure that I'm going to be able to work with this person. It's a team effort at the end of the day. It's the client and it's the coach. So I have to make sure that I'm going to work well with this person, and we're going to have good communication, and we're just like a good fit to work together, and this is going to happen. Sometimes I get on the phone and I do have to say no. I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
sorry, but like, I don't think this is going to be a good fit between you and me. You're obviously doing this competing for the wrong reasons. And so sometimes I do have to say no to people.
Mhm.
So I just think it's really important to not just hop on the first person. You have to have that trust in the coach. And it's like, how are they responding back to you? And are they putting stuff out on social media? Like, go look at all their stuff. Go read up on all their blog posts. Or if they have a YouTube
Yes.
channel, go watch all their YouTube channel and see, like, if this is going to be good. If you agree with their strategies of approaching a contest prep and everything. I think that's really important.
Yeah, that's great insight and advice. And when you as a coach, you were just saying like some of the things that also make you cringe or things that you want to consider, like their philosophies and things like that. Some people peak very differently. So when you are considering how someone peaks, obviously you really have to get to know, like when you're working with a coach, some people jump like coach to coach, 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 coach for all these years. There's reasons for that as well, which I understand. But then again, I believe it takes a coach a lot of time to really understand how someone peaks.
Hmm.
So I'm sure this answer might be a little bit meh, and if there isn't an exact answer, that's okay. But like a lot of girls want to know, like, how do you keep that perfect balance between looking full on stage, having the lean like look, right? But still looking full. Not fluffy, but like your muscles look right there.
Yeah.
Still lean. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So like everybody that I do, like we do peak differently. And how I do things is I'm very like OCD with how I do my check-ins. So like I literally have this big spreadsheet that like my clients have to like every day they got to fill out like a bunch of stuff. And what helps me is like when I give them refeeds, I can like look back like weeks prior to when I gave them like a triple refeed and see how they responded to that, and like see how they looked in their progress photos and stuff. That kind of helps me for in the future when I'm going to do their peak plan. Some people don't look really good a day after their refeed. Some people look good like 3 days after their refeed. So that's why I'm really big on like the data and stuff like that. So I can like look back and see like what went down after I gave them a refeed and stuff. But peak week, you gotta be ready beforehand. It's not this special time where you are just gonna like
Yeah.
look amazing. Like honestly, it's just trying to keep things consistent. Like I want you looking ready before peak week, like a week before peak week, 2 weeks before peak week, because it's not going to make these huge changes. I mean, it's just bikini, it's not bodybuilding where I don't even know what really goes down. But, in bikini, they do just want a very, it's not about who has like the most muscle up there. It's about like just, yeah, the perfect fullness. Yes, you see some lines in the hamstrings, not crazy guitar string look or whatever, but yeah, just slightly a little bit, and then full glutes or whatever. So going into peak week, it's like we got to keep things consistent. We got to keep your sodium consistent. We got to keep your water consistent. And then sometimes with clients, most of the time, I do just taper up carbs, which everybody is different. Sometimes I don't do that. Um, but yeah, it's just about having like that consistent look. And so when it comes to show day, like, yeah, I do not want you looking worn down. I do not want you looking stringy or having guitar string lines down your hamstrings or just like looking beat up. Like, no, I want you looking full up there, and you drank water. And sometimes people just don't have their athletes drink water, like they taper water, and it's like, no, you need that water to help you look more full up there and help fill out your muscles. And yeah.
That's really interesting and really good insight as well. Like I'm just appreciative like how much you're sharing. I'm just like, holy moly, like someone could really learn a lot from this episode. And
Yeah.
there's like two more things that I really want to like talk to you about. One of them is that a lot of competitors think, and you mentioned this earlier, that like when you're taking your off season, like business isn't going as well as when you're in prep. So,
Yeah.
a lot of competitors also think that in order to get like a sponsorship, they have to have a certain title, look a certain way, do very specific things. Obviously, there's girls who are fit spos who have lots of sponsorships, never stepped on stage, they don't have like shape, they don't do that, they don't want to, whatever. I want your perspective because you work with a company that you've been with for 3 years now. Most people can't stay in a relationship for 4 minutes. So
Yeah.
tell us how you not only found a company that you love working with, but also how they found you and you were able to grow with them, even through all those times off as well.
Yeah, so like you got to find a company that like you love and you believe in, and that like you are just so passionate about this company and there's nobody else like you want. So you first have to do that. Because you know it looks bad if you're just jumping from company to company. Like it just like doesn't look good. I think it's good to have, just have that like longevity with that one company. So what I did is I was using core nutritionals. My boyfriend used it. My past coach was always using the product. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to try core nutritionals out. Okay. I'm just going to try it out and see if I like it. So I tried their products, back in 2014 or whatever. And I was like, oh my gosh, this stuff is amazing. It lists like everything that was in the product. There's a lot of companies out there, they put like fillers and a bunch of crap, and it's just like they don't even list the ingredients on there,
They
so you
just call
never
it a
know.
proprietary blend.
Yeah, and you don't even know what you're taking.
Yeah.
So this company like had it all listed out, so I knew what I was taking, and I just fell in love. I really did. And so I reached out to them. I reached out and I said, hey, like I want to work with you guys. They didn't answer me, they didn't know who I was, like whatever. So I was like, all right, fine. So then I went to the Arnold Classic. I think it was like in 2016. I think so. Yeah. And I went up to their booth and they had no women working there. It was just a bunch of men, bunch of natural bodybuilders or whatever. So it was
Mhm.
kind of intimidating. But like I went up to the booth and I said, hey, like I really want to work for you guys. Like I really love this company. Like, what can I do? And so at the end of the Arnold, I went up to their booth many times. And at the end, the owner, Doug Miller, was just like, okay, you know what? You can be a demo rep. Like, how about you be a demo rep? And I'm like, sure, I'll be a demo rep, whatever. I just want to be on the team. So I was a demo rep. So I started off there 2016, and then for a full year. And then 2017 came around and they invited me to go to the Arnold with them again. So I was like, okay, cool. This is fun. So I went to the Arnold with them. I ended up paying for my flight. I paid for my hotel room. They didn't
Wow.
they didn't give me this huge whatever thing. I paid for everything to get out there just because I wanted to be more than a demo rep person.
Yeah, it's an
So I
investment.
worked the booth. I worked my ass off. I was all the long hours at the Arnold. I was working the booth. And then at the end, they really fell in love with me. They're like, damn, this girl really is a hard worker and wants to work for us. So then in 2017, when I was competing, um, I think it was like my second national show or something like that, they finally said, hey, do you want to be an elite athlete? And I was like, hell yeah, I've been waiting for this for forever. So yeah, then that's how I became an athlete. And I went to the Arnold with them in 2018 again. And then they actually helped me go fly out there. They helped with my hotel room, and they actually are helping me for a lot of my shows. So at the end of the day, you got to work your way up. Okay. So that's whatever company you want. Like you just have to like prove it to them how bad you want it. So
Yes.
that is it doesn't just come to you. I mean, sometimes it does. They just reach out. Hey, do you want to be a sponsored athlete? And you're just like, oh my God, this is amazing. But like most of the time that does not happen. And you really have to like just prove to them how bad you want this, whether it's your affiliate and you're just like crushing it with posting pictures or whatever, selling the product. soon, yeah, you will get that chance.
Yeah, exactly. Like I like that you made the effort. You took the time. Like you love them so much it was a no-brainer to be able to spend time with them and invest in doing that and
Yeah.
invest in putting yourself out there. And you also knew that obviously they're going to fall in love with me when I go out there and I show them how much I love their stuff.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
I feel like that's something that can only be done and only be valued when you truly value that company or those people behind it or the products themselves. I don't think that most people would be that motivated if they didn't truly love it. So that says a lot about you and your genuine honesty as well as a human being, as a
Yeah.
person. So I personally appreciate that. And I am so grateful you were able to come on here. And I always end the show with asking you, like, what's one piece of advice that you would give to someone thinking about competing or someone who's competing and after their pro card?
So after they win their pro card,
Like they're chasing it. They want it.
oh, they want it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
realized when I asked it, I
So
was like, that didn't sound right.
yeah, yeah. So you mean like they're competing and they're ready to get that pro card.
Yeah, they want it.
Okay. Yeah. So what I was doing in 2017 is I just kept focusing on the goal. Like, I really, really want this. I'm just going to go all in. But you got to be ready to go all in. So don't just like you've been competing for a whole entire year and then you want to compete again for a whole entire year and then go all in. Like, that's not going to work. So if you really want to get that pro card, you got to make sure that you are ready to go all in because you might not get it at that first show. You might not get it at the second. Heck, I got mine at the fourth one. So what you need to do is you got to prepare yourself ahead of time, whether that is taking, yes, a full year off or 2 years off. Those 2 years off, I was so ready to go all in and I was going to fight for whatever it was going to take. So then at these national shows, the main thing is really making sure that you're like posing is under control because that was all of my mistakes that I was making up on the national stage. My posing was absolutely terrible. Like, I had no idea how to transition. I was not hitting the front pose right. I think the only reason why I got into first call outs every time was because my back pose just always looked good. I had the glutes, my lines were in. I think that's why I always got into the first call out. But then when they, turned me around, it's like, well, how are you turning around? Are you just whipping yourself around or do you know how to do those transitions and transition gracefully and like turn gracefully and know how to hit that front pose and everything that goes down with it, the hair, the makeup, everything. So that is like the main advice is making sure you just have your posing like under control. I think that's
Mm.
like the main thing because that is so huge. Like, it's everything. It's because yeah, you can show up like looking the freaking part. Like, you're lean, you got the muscle, you look awesome. But like once you stand up on stage and like you're up against all those other women, it's like, how is your routine and how are you presenting yourself up there? Do you have that stage etiquette? Like, do you know what stage etiquette is? Um, so
Right.
I think all my national shows, I look back and I'm just like really embarrassed. Like, I don't even like posting any photos of me like back at my national shows or like even stage footage because I'm just like, what was I doing? Like, I just looked crazy up there. Finally got my posing under control for NPC Nationals and I won the overall. Like, posing
Wow.
is literally everything. So yeah, if it's anything that's wrong with your national show, like you keep getting to first call out or whatever, I would definitely, look at your posing routine, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, because everybody like shows up looking awesome for nationals. It's nationals.
Yeah.
So like you said, how are you going to set yourself apart? And that is really great advice. And I just want to say, like, you have provided some seriously, seriously valuable information, like things that most people won't openly just share. And I want to say thank you so much, not only for myself, but also on behalf of everybody who's listening. I'm sure they're going to be like blown away by this episode, like how much you've really gone into detail with us. So I'm really appreciative of that. Thank you for being open as well and talking about what you do, what you go through, and sharing just so much with us. So can you let everyone know where they can connect with you? Thank you for being on here and learn more about
Yeah.
you or work with you, etc.
Yeah. Well, first I want to say thank you for having this like space where these pros can like talk about their journey, because you just can't get a lot of information out there about these pros. And I'm always like, I want to know what they're doing. I want to know what they're doing. Like, they don't put out too much information. So this is like a great platform to like make them open up, which I think is amazing, especially for like NPC competitors that, are trying to get their pro card or whatever, first time competitor. So I think this is awesome what you are doing.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then, you can reach me at, everything is just Lauren Dannenmiller. So my YouTube channel is Lauren Dannenmiller. Instagram is just at Lauren Dannenmiller. And then, if you want to work with me and Kyle at Team Cosmic Bodies, we do have an Instagram. It's at Team Cosmic Bodies. And then through our Instagram, through our YouTube, and even through my Instagram, you can definitely like find out how to apply to coaching if that's something you want to do. It's really easy. So that is it.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. So everybody listening, I'm going to put all of that information, all those links, all the ways that you can connect with Lauren on the show notes page at www.celestial.fit/podcast. So make sure you go there to get connected with her, or of course, just go to Instagram and type that stuff in. If you haven't connected with her yet, I highly recommend that you do. She's just as open online. It's really amazing, like what she puts out there. So make sure you check her out. And thank you again, Lauren, so much. I appreciate it. And to everybody listening, please make sure to rate, review, and subscribe. It helps the show so much. Of course, if you want to become a patron, that's awesome too. All that stuff is on the website. Not going to talk too much about it. Just want to say thank you for listening again, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, night, or morning, wherever you are in the world, while you're listening to this podcast. Just make it awesome.